Do you have any experience of being psychologically manipulated? Essentially, all human interactions are a game of power, and manipulation is the most insidious and imperceptible way to seize power. It makes you unknowingly hand over the right to control your emotions, the right to choose your actions, and even the right to define your own life. You think you are making free choices, but in reality, every step you take is part of the manipulator's plan. You are like a marionette, forced to dance by others, and every struggle you make only makes them enjoy the pleasure of control even more. Manipulation has nothing to do with the depth of love or the closeness of a relationship. It is only about one thing: control and being controlled. Now, it's time to take back your power. Today, we are going to delve into the classic work Influencer, The Power to Change Anything by psychologist Dr. Harriet B. Breaker. She has condensed her entire 30 years of clinical psychotherapy experience into this ultimate guide to reversing power dynamics. This book will arm your mind, enabling you to see through all manipulation tactics. It will give you the courage to break free from all invisible constraints. This video is the beginning of your call to fight back. Just now, we defined manipulation as a battle for power in interpersonal relationships. This statement may sound a bit extreme or overstated. Many people might think, isn't it just couples quarreling, family members nagging, or colleagues passing the buck? How did it become a war? Don't be in a hurry. This is the most brilliant part of manipulation. It always wears a veil of tenderness, making you completely unaware that you are in the middle of a war. This veil usually consists of just 3 words. I'm doing this for your own good. I'm doing this for your own good. So I'm telling you not to associate with those questionable friends. I'm doing this for your own good. So I'm advising you to take the civil service exam. Stability is more important than anything else. I'm doing this for your own good. You must drink this glass of wine. It's all to help you build better relationships. Do these words sound extremely familiar? Sometimes we even say similar things to others ourselves. So here's the question. How do we distinguish between someone who truly cares about you and is doing it for your own good, and someone who is secretly manipulating you to use you for their own benefit? Where exactly is the line between these two? This line is like a frosted glass. You know there's something on the other side, but you can't see it clearly. Now, let's completely shatter this frosted glass. To tell them apart, we first need to understand a core question. What is the difference in the starting points between healthy mutual influence and malicious psychological manipulation? Healthy mutual influence follows the logic. I want you to be well, so I'll give you advice, but I sincerely respect your final choice. It's like an open discussion. I share my views, you share your thoughts, we exchange information with each other, and in the end, you make your own decision. In this process, your personality is respected, and your right to choose remains intact. Even if you don't take my advice in the end, our relationship won't be damaged because of it. This is a win-win situation. But manipulation is an entirely different story. The essence of manipulation is, I want you to become better in a way that meets my needs. Its unspoken subtext is, your current state doesn't serve my interests, so you must change. It is a carefully packaged, one-sided power grab in the name of love. Let's take a moment to reflect on our own lives. Have you ever experienced a scenario like this? When you get an excellent job opportunity to work in another city, your partner holds you tightly and says in a loving tone, I really can't live without you. I'm not being selfish. I'm just too afraid of losing you. And I'm also worried that you'll suffer alone in that new place. This makes you feel touched yet guilty, and eventually you give up the opportunity. Or when you want to choose your beloved art major in college, your parents say to you earnestly, my child, we're all doing this for your own good. You can't make a living by painting. We just want you to have a stable job in the future, so you won't have to work as hard as we did. This makes you feel like pursuing your dream is a sin, and in the end, you fill in the so-called popular major instead. Or when a friend wants you to help handle a very tricky matter that will take up a lot of your time, they first recount all the little things they've done to help you in the past, then say, with our relationship, you definitely won't refuse me, right? This makes you feel that refusing would make you ungrateful, so you end up forcing yourself to agree. You see, In all these scenarios, the other person's words are filled with love, care, and affection. But what's the result? The result is that your world becomes smaller, your dreams are put on hold, and your boundaries are violated. And what about the other person? They gain a sense of security, satisfy their desire for control, and achieve their own goals. Once we dig deep into the root cause, we will discover a core characteristic of manipulative behavior. All expressions seem to be for the benefit of others, but all motives are for the benefit of the manipulator themselves. A manipulator is like a skilled magician. They use fancy words and touching emotions to divert your attention, making you completely ignore what they really want to do. They make you focus on how much they love you, instead of making you notice the unreasonable price you're paying for this love. So, my friends, we need to establish our first criterion for judgment. When someone tries to influence your major decisions, don't just listen to what they say. More importantly, analyze who the ultimate beneficiary of their actions is. Healthy, intimate relationships do require compromise, but healthy compromise means I take a step back for you, and you take a step back for me. It is a two-way process. Manipulation, however, is I draw a circle in the name of love, making you willingly stay in place and never move. It is a form of selfishness disguised as sacrifice. Therefore, please remember, manipulation is not a single action. It is an atmosphere that makes you feel confused, guilty, depressed, and self-doubting over the long term. It's not just one instance of making you drink. It's gradually making you think, if I don't drink, I'm not being sociable. It's not just one instance of making you give up an opportunity. It's gradually making you think, pursuing my dreams is being selfish. In today's era of information explosion, each of us is influenced by various forces. Learning to distinguish between healthy influence and manipulation is the first and most important line of defense to protect ourselves in this complex world. So, when you find yourself in such a dilemma again, when you feel that something is not right in your heart, you can try asking yourself 3 questions mentally. These 3 questions are like 3 magic mirrors that can help you see the other person's true intentions in an instant. First, after the conversation, do I feel clearer and more empowered? Or do I feel more confused and guilty? Second, did they offer me more possibilities for choice? Or did they block all other paths, leaving only the one they want for me? Third, if I finally say no, will they respect my decision? Or will they punish me with cold shoulder treatment, losing their temper, or making me feel guilty? The answers to these 3 questions will tell you extremely clearly whether what you are experiencing is a healthy conversation or an invisible manipulation. Okay, now we know what manipulation looks like. But in real life, these manipulators are often extremely well disguised. They may be charming social butterflies or pitiful victims. In the next part, we will go deep into the enemy's territory to fully reveal the inner world of these manipulator players and find out what they really want. Through our previous discussion, we now have 3 magic mirrors in hand, which allow us to initially distinguish whether a relationship is for your own good or for their own use. Then a deeper question arises. Why do these people do this? Are they born bad? Are they the kind of villains who hide in dark corners and plot against others every day? If it were that simple, if we could just label all of them as bad guys, then things would be much easier. But the complexity of reality lies in the fact that many manipulators may not seem bad at all in daily life. They may be the charming, popular friend in your eyes, the partner who cares for you meticulously, or the elder who always talks about the family and worries endlessly about you. Why do they manipulate? To answer this question, we must put on a pair of psychological X-ray glasses to see through the surface of their words and actions and find out what is hidden deep in their hearts. According to the profound analysis in Influencer, The Power to Change Anything, we can find that most manipulative behaviors do not stem from malice, but from the black holes in their hearts that cannot be filled. These black holes can be summed up into 3 main driving forces. The first is an extreme fear of losing control. You can imagine this scene. A person with an extreme lack of security feels that their life is like a shabby little boat sailing in a stormy sea, which could capsize at any moment. Their heart is flustered and filled with fear. To fight against this fear, The only way they can think of is to desperately cling to everything they can reach around them and fix them firmly in place. And you, the people around you, are the anchors they want to cling to. Once your thoughts, actions, or decisions go beyond their expectations and control, it is equivalent to the anchor loosening or the storm intensifying in their eyes, and their world is on the verge of collapse. Therefore, they must, and will inevitably, use all means to bring you back to the route they have set for you. He controls you not because he is strong, but precisely because he is extremely weak inside. He needs to gain a trace of false security by controlling the external world, and your freedom becomes a sacrifice for his sense of security. The second is an endless craving for approval and praise that is analogous to an addiction. Everyone's heart is like a cup. We need love and approval to fill it, and this constitutes our sense of self-worth. Mentally healthy people can pour water into their own cups. When others do it, it is just an added bonus. However, a manipulator's cup has a hole at the bottom. It is always empty. They lack the ability to affirm themselves, so their only source of energy is to seek it from the external world. They need you to constantly praise them, rely on them, and need them, viewing them as your god. Every time you affirm them, it is like injecting a dose of energy medicine into them, allowing them to feel good temporarily. Once you start forming your own opinions and no longer center your world around them, it is equivalent to cutting off their energy supply. To survive, they will inevitably do everything possible to pull you back into their orbit, making you continue to play the role of an audience who applauds and cheers for them. Your independence poses a huge threat to their sense of existence. The third, and most core, driving force is extreme low self-esteem, hidden beneath a mask of arrogance. This may seem counterintuitive. We often assume that people who like to control others must be extremely confident and powerful. But the truth is precisely the opposite. Just as the old saying goes, the more one lacks something, the more one flaunts it. The reason manipulators are so obsessed with power games and intoxicated by the pleasure of manipulating others at will is precisely because deep down, they feel worthless. They may think they are not smart enough, not charming enough, or not successful enough. And this feeling of "I'm not good enough" is unbearable for them. As a result, they activate a psychological defense mechanism. If they can successfully control you and make you act according to their will, it conversely proves that "I am stronger and wiser than you." Every time you submit, it becomes evidence they use to prove "I am actually capable." They see you as a mirror. They need to look at the small, obedient version of you in the mirror to reflect their own illusion of being tall and authoritative. So you see, the essence of manipulation is not bullying of the weak by the strong, but a pathetic self-defense counterattack, launched by an internally weak person against an external imaginary enemy. Once we understand these three underlying motives, we can easily paint a portrait of the typical manipulator players in our lives. The first type is what we call the people-pleaser player. Such individuals are usually stars of social circles, witty, charming, and eloquent. Their way of manipulating you is not through intimidation, but through bestowing favors. Today they do you a small favor, tomorrow they give you a gift, making you feel like the most special person in their extensive social network. They leave you emotionally indebted to them forever. So when they need you to give something in return, you simply cannot refuse, because refusing would mean you are ungrateful and would be kicked out of their glamorous circle. The second type is the saint/patriarch player, or simply the patriarch player. This type of player loves to act as your life mentor, and their catchphrase is, "I have crossed more bridges than you have walked roads." They will use their experience and authority to plan everything for you. Your life, your career, your marriage, and they have prepared the best plan for all of these. All you need to do is obey, and you can avoid detours. Once you try to resist, they will not lose their temper with you. Instead, they will put on a distressed expression of sorrowing over your misfortune and angering over your stubbornness, making you feel like you have let down their good intentions and that you are simply an ungrateful wretch. The third type, and the most difficult to deal with, is the complainer player, named after Xiangling's wife, a literary character known for perpetual lamenting. This type of player is always the most miserable person in the world, and their life is like a tragic soap opera. They will constantly pour out their misfortunes, traumas, and grievances to you, making you feel that their suffering is all due to others and the injustice of the world. The kind little angel in your heart cannot help but want to save them and comfort them. Gradually, you will find that you have become their exclusive emotional trash can and savior, and your life revolves around their misfortunes. Once you want to leave, you will be burdened with a heavy moral yoke, feeling like a sinner who abandons someone drowning. No matter what type of player they are, their tactics may seem ever-changing, but their core always boils down to the 3 points we discussed earlier: fear of losing control, craving for approval, and low self-esteem. We have spent so much time analyzing and understanding them, not to sympathize with them, let alone to make excuses for their behavior. Remember, no matter what kind of childhood trauma or psychological black hole they have, none of this can justify them hurting you. Our only purpose in doing this is to demystify, to help you understand that the person who makes you feel scared, guilty, and powerless is neither an omnipotent God nor a heinous devil. They are just a poor person with a child living inside their heart, clumsily and wrongly seeking a sense of security in adult ways, even at the cost of hurting others. When you can view them from this perspective, you gain the ability of dimension reduction strike in this psychological battle. Their words and actions that once caused you immense pain will appear to you as a predictable, repetitive, and even somewhat ridiculous fixed routine. And when you no longer have an intense emotional reaction to their behavior, you have quietly stepped off their chessboard. Okay, now we have seen through the manipulator's disguises and gained insight into their inner selves. But there is still one ultimate question to answer. Among the vast crowds, why is it you, of all people, who has become their ideal target? In the next part, we will turn the camera around and conduct a profound self-examination to see what traits in us attract manipulators and open the door for them. In the previous part, we delved into the inner worlds of manipulators and analyzed them thoroughly. Now, the sharpest and most unavoidable question lies before us. Among the vast crowds, why me? Why do I always seem to encounter such people? Is there something wrong with me? Do I deserve this? Before we start this part of the discussion, please look at yourself in front of the screen, or firmly say a sentence to yourself in your heart. This is not my fault. Please remember this well. Being prone to manipulation is not because you are bad. On the contrary, it is often because you are too good. Those fine qualities in you that are praised by society and traditional culture, such as kindness, compassion, devotion to relationships, and a strong sense of responsibility, shine like beacons in the dark in the eyes of manipulators, bright and attractive. They are like hunters with extremely sharp senses, able to accurately identify who has the softest heart, who has the most ambiguous boundaries, and who is most likely to compromise infinitely for the sake of harmonious relationships. Therefore, the following discussion is not a victim criticism meeting, but a comprehensive checkup of our self-defense system. We are not here to blame ourselves, but to clearly see which emotional buttons in our hearts are always easily pressed by others, thereby controlling our lives. The book Influencer, The Power to Change Anything summarizes 7 of the most common emotional buttons for us. You can take out a pen and paper or mentally score yourself to see in which areas you are particularly vulnerable to being taken advantage of. The first button is called people-pleasing disorder, or nice guy syndrome. People with this disorder have an almost unshakable belief deep down: I must make everyone around me like me and be satisfied with me. You are extremely afraid of disappointing others and of being disliked. To you, even a frown from someone else feels like a judgment on you. So you unconsciously cater to others' expectations, even if it means sacrificing your own time and needs. Manipulators can spot this trait in you at a glance, and it is incredibly easy for them to manipulate you. They don't even need to yell at you. They just need to show a little sign of being unhappy or disappointed, and the alarm in your heart will immediately go off. Then you will take the initiative to approach them and ask, "Did I do something wrong? What should I do to make you happy?" In this way, you personally hand the remote control to the other person. The second button is called Saint Syndrome, which is technically known as pathological sense of responsibility. People with this button subconsciously take others' problems as their own. If your partner is unhappy, you will think, I didn't take good care of them. If your child gets bad grades, you will think, I didn't educate them well. Even if a friend encounters difficulties, you will think, it's all my fault for not being able to help. You are like a superhero carrying a huge bag of responsibilities, always wanting to save the world. Manipulators, especially the complainer players we mentioned earlier, love people like you the most. They will dump all their misfortunes and bad moods on you like garbage. And you, instead of refusing, will accept it all with sympathy and even feel deep guilt for not being able to make them happy immediately. Your kindness has become a resource that others can exploit infinitely. The third button is called conflict phobia, which means an extreme fear of falling out with others. In your world, harmony is above everything else, and you believe that any direct conflict means the breakdown of a relationship, which you cannot bear. So you would rather suffer grievances yourself than maintain superficial peace. When your rights are violated, the first thought in your mind is not, I need to fight for this, but forget it. It's better to avoid trouble. Manipulators love to take advantage of this trait in you. They will constantly test your bottom line, asking you to do a small favor today, taking a small advantage of you tomorrow. They know that as long as things don't reach the point where you can't bear it anymore, you will most likely choose to let it go to avoid conflict. Your concessions are like giving up your territory, inch by inch, until finally you find yourself with no way out. The fourth button is called approval hunger. Your self-evaluation largely depends on others' opinions. When you do something, your first thought is not, do I like this? But, what will others think of me? Will they praise me? You need constant positive feedback from others to confirm your own worth. This gives manipulators an extremely lethal weapon: strategic praise and criticism. When they need you, they will praise you to the skies, making you feel like the most important person in the world. To maintain this glory, you will be willing to do anything for them. But when they want to put you down, they only need to withdraw that approval or make slight belittling remarks, which can instantly send you plummeting into despair, leaving you desperately wondering, what did I do wrong? Your worth is firmly in their grasp. The fifth button is emotional dependence. You are extremely afraid of being alone and of making decisions by yourself. You feel that without someone else by your side to guide you and provide emotional support, your life will completely fall apart. This dependence gives patriarch-style manipulators ample room to exploit you. They will be more than happy to play the role of your savior and guide. They will tell you you're not capable. You're too naive while arranging everything for you, making you more and more dependent on them. Over time, you will truly believe that you are useless and that they are your only reliance to survive. This kind of dependent relationship is the hardest one to break free from in manipulative dynamics. The sixth button is imposter syndrome, which is what we commonly refer to as low self-esteem. Deep down, you feel that you are not good enough, not worthy of being loved, and not deserving of good things. So when a bad relationship comes along, your first reaction is not, he treats me so badly, but maybe this is the only kind of relationship I deserve. The manipulator's put-downs and belittling remarks will not wake you up. Instead, they will confirm the voice deep in your heart. See, I really am this bad. You might even be grateful that they don't look down on you and are willing to be with you. This mindset makes you completely give up resisting in a toxic relationship. The seventh button is naive logic syndrome. You always assume that everyone in the world is as reasonable and logical as you are. You believe that as long as you explain things clearly and thoroughly, the other person will definitely understand you and change their ways. So when a manipulator distorts the truth, you will try to reason with them over and over again, trying to prove that 1 + 1 = 2. But what you don't realize is that manipulators don't care about logic at all. They only care about winning or losing. The more you try to reason with them, the deeper you fall into the trap they've set for you. In the end, you'll be exhausted by their arguments and start wondering, is there something wrong with my mind? Okay, how many of these 7 emotional buttons do you have? Remember, we all have 1 or 2 of them to some extent. This is normal and nothing to be ashamed of. It's just the mark left by our life experiences on our hearts. Today, we identify them one by one, clean them up, and see them clearly. Our goal is not to criticize ourselves, but to ensure that the next time someone tries to press these buttons again, the alarm system in your heart will go off immediately. You'll be able to clearly tell yourself, "Oh, so he's taking advantage of my people-pleasing disorder again," or "He's exploiting my conflict phobia right now." This clear awareness is the first and most important step for us to take back our power and break free from constraints. Now that we've completed this honest self-examination and identified the areas where we need the most defense, let's go all out and dive straight into the manipulator's armory to seize their martial arts manual. We'll uncover the sneaky and vicious tactics they use to precisely target these emotional buttons of ours. We often read martial arts novels, where top warriors compete not only with internal strength but also with combat techniques. Manipulators are just like such masters, proficient in all kinds of crooked and malicious tactics. Their tactics are highly deceptive and destructive. Often, you won't even realize you've been hurt internally until it's too late. But don't be afraid. Every martial art has its weak point and flaw. In this section, we'll reveal the top 10 classic deadly tactics in the manipulator's armory, and we'll pair each tactic with a simple yet effective countermeasure. Make sure to take notes because what follows is all practical, valuable information. Tactic 1: reality distortion, gaslighting. Distorting right and wrong to make you doubt yourself. This is the manipulator's basic entry-level skill and also their most advanced internal technique, technically known as gaslighting. In practice, they will firmly deny objective facts that have occurred, twist your words, and make you think there's something wrong with your memory, perception, or even mental state. Their most common phrases are, "You're being paranoid," "You're too sensitive," "That's not what I meant at all," "I never said that," "You must have misremembered." The danger of this tactic lies in that it fundamentally shakes your trust in reality. Over time, you no longer trust your own judgments, and you'll subconsciously wonder, "Am I overthinking again?" Before doing anything, you become a puppet who needs them to define reality for you. Countermeasure. Trust your intuition and your initial feelings. Your feelings are your truth. Don't get stuck in endless arguments with them, because their goal is to confuse you. Start keeping a secret diary to record confusing conversations and events. When they deny the facts again, you'll have a clear record in your mind. You don't need to confront them. You just need to tell yourself inwardly, "My feelings are real. I'm not crazy." Tactic 2: self-sacrifice ploy, making you feel perpetually indebted to force compliance. This tactic is a trap tailor-made for people like us who value relationships and have a conscience. Manipulators will constantly emphasize how much they've given and sacrificed for you, leaving you forever burdened with a heavy emotional debt. Their most common phrases are, "I gave up such a great opportunity for you, and this is how you treat me now. I've done so much for you. Can't you even help me with this small favor?" When you're wrapped up in this overwhelming sense of guilt and indebtedness, it becomes hard to say no to them, because refusing would mean you're ungrateful and a bad person. Countermeasure. Separate responsibilities clearly. Draw a clear line in your mind. Their past efforts were their own choice, and they need to take responsibility for that choice. You can be grateful for their help, but that doesn't mean you have to repay it by satisfying all their demands unconditionally. You can say to them, "I'm truly grateful for everything you did for me back then, but I can't do this specific thing." Remember, healthy giving doesn't seek return. Giving that demands repayment is essentially a transaction. Tactic 3: misery mongering, playing the victim to gain sympathy. This tactic is similar to the self-sacrifice ploy but more advanced. Instead of emphasizing what I did for you, they focus on how miserable I am. They will portray themselves as a perfect victim who has suffered a tragic fate and been treated unfairly by the world. Their most common phrases are, "Why is it always me who gets the bad luck? This is just how I am. No one loves me. No one cares about me." The sneakiness of this tactic is that it triggers the compassion and desire to save others deep in your heart. Seeing how pitiful they are, You'll unconsciously want to help them and take on responsibilities that aren't yours to bear. If you don't help them, you'll feel like a cold, cruel person. Countermeasure. You can sympathize with their situation, but you must never take responsibility for their life. You can express your concern, such as, "I'm sorry to hear that," but never take the initiative to offer solutions, let alone make their problems your own. Guard your boundaries. Your compassion is precious, and it shouldn't be used to clean up other people's messes. Tactic 4. Silent treatment. Using silence to punish you and force surrender. Arguments aren't scary. What's scary is deathly silence. This tactic is what we commonly call the silent treatment. When you fail to meet their demands or they want to achieve a certain goal, they will suddenly disappear from your world, ignoring your WeChat messages, not answering your calls, and even treating you like air if you're in the same room. They don't need to say a word, but the icy atmosphere and the fear of being isolated will make you feel extremely anxious and panicked. To break this suffocating silence, you'll often be the first to apologize and compromise, even if you're not the one in the wrong. Countermeasure. The one who suffers changes. Let them know that their silent punishment won't work on you. When they give you the silent treatment, never pester them with questions like, "What's wrong with you?" Instead, stay calm and go about your own business. Read a book, work out, or meet up with friends. When they realize their silent treatment has no effect on you, they'll lose their greatest control over you. Make it clear to them that the door to communication is open, but you won't play along with their silence game. Tactic 5. Topic diversion. Distorting concepts to leave you speechless. When you talk about facts, they talk about your attitude. When you talk about attitude, they talk about your motives. When you talk about motives, they bring up past mistakes. Somehow, they can magically shift the focus from their own problems to yours. For example, if you accuse them of breaking a promise, they'll say, "I just forgot. Do you really need to make such a big deal out of it? You're just being too petty." In an instant, the problem changes from their dishonesty to your pettiness. Countermeasure. Pull the conversation back to the original topic. Don't let them lead you astray. Gently but firmly redirect the focus back to the initial issue during the conversation. You can say, "Let's not discuss whether I'm being petty right now. Let's just talk about why you didn't do what you promised me yesterday." Always keep the core of your conversation in mind, and don't be distracted by their irrelevant accusations. Tactic 6. Perpetual criticism. Making you forever unworthy of their approval. No matter how well you do, they can always find fault. If you score 99 out of 100 on a test, they'll ask, "Why did you lose that 1 point?" If you clean the house until it's spotless, they'll say, "Look, there's still a hair in that corner." Their goal is to make you perpetually feel not good enough, keeping you in a state of chasing their standards. This way, they can forever occupy the high ground in the relationship and pass judgment on you. Countermeasure. Build your own internal evaluation system. When you do something, the standard for judgment should be whether you are satisfied, not whether they approve. When they criticize you again, look at them calmly and say, "Is that so? But I'm quite happy with how I did this time." When you no longer need their approval, their power to judge you becomes useless. Tactic 7. Feigning incompetence. Using a helpless demeanor to force your compliance. This tactic is often used to avoid responsibilities, especially household chores. They will pretend to be an overgrown child who can't take care of themselves. Their most common lines are, "I don't know how to do this. I'll definitely mess it up. You should do it instead. You're so much better at this than me." This seemingly submissive act of retreating to advance makes you feel powerless, thinking, "Forget it. It's easier to do it myself than to ask them." In the end, you end up taking all the work on yourself. Countermeasure. Trust their ability, don't take over everything, and return responsibility to them. You can smile and encourage them. "It's okay. I believe you'll get the hang of it with a few tries. Even if you mess up, I'll help you clean up." Letting them face the consequences of their actions is the only cure for their feigned incompetence. Tactic 8. Love bombing. The enchantment trap to make you fall fast and stay hooked. This tactic, known as love bombing, isn't just used at the start of a relationship. It's also part of the carrot and stick cycle. When you're disheartened and ready to leave, they'll suddenly activate this trap, overwhelming you with a flood of sweet words and romantic gestures. This makes you think all the previous hurt was just a misunderstanding, and they actually care about you. You'll easily forgive all their past harm because of this brief sweetness, and may even start wondering if you were too harsh or impulsive. But in reality, this is just a stalling tactic to keep you as their control target. Countermeasure: watch their actions, not just their words. When they start love-bombing you, sound the alarm in your mind. Don't be dazzled by superficial sweet talk. Pay attention to whether they've made real changes in concrete ways. For example, if they used to give you the silent treatment, do they now take the initiative to communicate? If they used to ignore your needs, do they now respect your boundaries? Don't settle for empty promises. You can say, "Thank you for your kind words, but I'd rather see what you do next." Judge their sincerity by their actions, not their words. Tactic 9. Passive-aggressive sarcasm. Taking shots at you indirectly to leave you frustrated. This tactic is passive aggression, often referred to as sarcasm with plausible deniability. They never express their dissatisfaction directly. Instead, they use veiled hints and indirect jabs to make you uncomfortable, without giving you a clear target to refute. For example, if you wear a new outfit to show them happily, they might say, "Wow, you're really willing to spend money on yourself. Unlike me, I hesitate to buy anything because I have to think about the family's expenses." On the surface, they're talking about their own frugality, but in reality, they're secretly accusing you of being wasteful. Another example: if you come home late from overtime work, they won't say, "I was worried about you," but instead, "Some people are so busy they forget about home. Who knows if they're really busy or not?" Their words are laced with doubt about your intentions, leaving you feeling upset and powerless. Countermeasure: defuse their sarcasm by pretending not to catch their hidden meaning, then respond sincerely and positively. For instance, if they say, "You're really willing to spend money," you can smile and say, "Yeah, I've been working hard, so I wanted to treat myself to something I like. It makes me really happy. You always think about the family, so you should also buy yourself nice things sometimes." Don't keep wronging yourself. This positive response is like hitting cotton. Their sarcasm has no place to land. Over time, they'll realize this tactic doesn't work on you. Tactic 10. Threats: the intimidation roar, to terrify you into submission. This is the most blatant and lowest tactic of all. When all subtle manipulation, such as playing the victim, people-pleasing, or the silent treatment, fails, they'll drop their disguise and use direct or indirect threats to force you to submit. They might say, "If you dare break up with me, I'll post your private photos online. If you dare contradict me again, I'll take it out on your parents. If you dare leave, I'll go make a scene at your company and ruin your reputation." They exploit your deepest fears: fear of privacy leaks, fear of endangering your family, fear of losing your job or social standing, to tie you tightly to them. Countermeasure: your safety always comes first. Any form of threat is the most dangerous red flag in a relationship. This is no longer simple manipulation. It's harmful coercion. The first thing you need to do is not argue with them. You can't do this. But protect yourself immediately. Back up evidence of their threats, chat records, audio recordings, etc. Inform trusted family members or friends about the situation, and seek help from the police, neighborhood committees, or psychological counseling services if necessary. Please remember, any relationship that relies on fear to survive is never love. It's just a cage. Leaving such a relationship isn't running away. It's saving yourself. These 10 tactics are the manipulator's most commonly used martial arts manual. Of course, there may be many variations in real life, such as using moral blackmail to make you compromise or excessive praise to lower your guard before controlling you, but ever-changing yet always the same at its core. All these tactics aim to disrupt your judgment by triggering negative emotions in you: fear, guilt, self-doubt, anxiety, ultimately achieving the goal of controlling you. Our purpose in breaking down these tactics isn't to turn you into a fighting fanatic who excels at arguments and confronts them head-on. Our ultimate goal isn't to win this game, but to see through its rules and then walk away from the card table gracefully. Because when you realize you're being manipulated, the smartest choice isn't to keep playing. It's to refuse to participate in this game of control. Now you've learned how to counter each tactic, but scattered countermeasures aren't enough to form a complete defense system. In the next section, we'll integrate all these strategies into a systematic, actionable power reversal plan tailored for you, helping you truly take back control of your life. On the battlefield, no matter how brilliant a strategy is, it's just empty talk without resolute execution. Similarly, in this power game with manipulators, understanding the tactics is far from enough. We must act. For many people who have long been trapped in controlling relationships, the word resist sounds as daunting as climbing Mount Everest, filled with fear and uncertainty. We're afraid of conflict, afraid of breaking the relationship, afraid of more violent retaliation. But don't worry. What we're about to start in this section isn't a violent revolution that leaves you battered and bruised. It's a planned, step-by-step, strategic, peaceful uprising. We've integrated the core resistance strategies from the book into a 7-day rebirth plan that you can start implementing today. These 7 days will be the beginning of you taking back control of your life and turning the tide. Day 1 to Day 2. Lay down your weapons and act as an anthropologist. Yes, you read that right. The first step in our resistance isn't to rush in and argue with them. It's to lay down your weapons and temporarily step back from this emotional battle. Over these 2 days, your role will no longer be that of a wronged, angry victim, but a calm, objective anthropologist. Your only task is to observe and record. When the other person uses any of the martial arts tactics we mentioned earlier on you, don't react emotionally as you used to. Don't fall into self-blame or anger. Instead, calmly label their behavior in your mind like a scientist. Oh, here's the self-sacrifice ploy. This is reality distortion. Look, he's starting to play the victim. At night, find a time that's absolutely private and safe. Take out a notebook and record only 3 things. What happened today? Describe the event objectively without subjective judgment. For example, he asked me to skip my weekend party to help him organize documents. Not he selfishly took up my time again. How did I feel? Record your emotions truthfully. For example, I felt annoyed and unwilling, but also a little guilty. What do I think his goal was? Analyze his motives. For example, he probably didn't want to do it himself and wanted to use my guilt to get me to help. You might wonder, what's the point of this? It's extremely useful. This simple action helps you achieve the crucial emotional separation. It forcibly creates a safe distance between you and their emotional manipulation. When you can analyze and record all this like an observer, you've already transformed from an actor controlled by the plot into a director who examines the plot. All the tactics that once made you suffer will become behavioral samples for you to study. This shift is the start of all power reversal. Day 3 to Day 4. Separate responsibilities and stop feeding the manipulator. A manipulator is like an emotional vampire, and the blood they rely on to survive is the negative emotions they trigger in you. Your guilt, your fear, your sympathy. So the second step of our uprising is to stop feeding them this emotional energy. Over these 2 days, we will practice a crucial psychological concept called separation of responsibilities. In simple terms, it means whoever's problem it is, they take responsibility for it. Whoever's emotions they are, they manage them. When they dump their negative emotions on you again, for example, saying, "I'm so sad, and it's all your fault," you might have once rushed to say, "I'm sorry, what can I do to make you feel better?" But now, you need to hold back and respond in a way that is neither confrontational nor responsible. You could say, "It sounds like you're really feeling down." The brilliance of this response lies in 2 key points. You acknowledge their feelings, which prevents them from accusing you of being cold-hearted. Yet you do not take responsibility for their feelings. You are like a mirror, calmly reflecting their own emotions back to them. When they try to use the self-sacrifice ploy to make you feel guilty, stop trying to prove your innocence. Instead, say, "I understand what you've done for me, But today, let's only discuss this matter itself. When they start playing the victim, stop acting as their savior. Say, "I sympathize with what you're going through, but I really can't help you with this." These 2 days will feel extremely difficult. The people pleaser or saint syndrome buttons in your heart will be screaming alarms. But you must hold on. When you stop taking responsibility for their emotions, they lose their most important tool of manipulation. Like a vampire that can no longer feed, their power will fade rapidly, and you'll see it happen. Day 5 to day 6. Draw your lines and practice saying no. Once we are no longer easily controlled by the other person's emotions, we need to shift from passive defense to active action. This action does not mean picking a fight. It means drawing lines, clear, uncrossable boundaries for your personal space. And the core of drawing lines is practicing saying no. For many people with people-pleasing personalities, saying no feels harder than climbing a mountain. So we need to take it step by step. Over these 2 days, your task is to rebuild your refusal muscle, starting with the smallest, safest things in life. For example, if they ask you to fetch something they could easily get themselves, you can smile and say, "I'm a bit busy right now. Could you get it yourself?" If they want you to give up your weekend plans to do something they want, say, "That sounds fun, but I already have other plans this weekend. Maybe next time." You can even prepare some universal buffer phrases, such as, "I need to think about this and get back to you later," or, "This is a bit sudden. I need some time to process it." Every small, successful refusal is a deposit of self-affirmation into your psychological account. It will gradually help you believe. Saying no won't make the sky fall. Your needs are just as important as others. These tiny successes will build up enough courage and confidence for the direct communication you'll do next. Day 7. Direct communication. Declare the rules of your new world. After 6 days of preparation and practice, we finally reach the last step of the plan. This step requires you to summon your greatest courage. We will have a direct conversation to clearly tell the manipulator, "The old version of me, who let you control me, no longer exists. From today onward, our relationship will follow a completely new set of rules." Please remember, the purpose of this conversation is not to argue, not to bring up past grievances, and certainly not to change them. You can never force someone else to change. Its only purpose is to declare your boundaries and needs. Choose a relatively calm time and setting, for example, a weekend afternoon when neither of you is in a hurry and both are in stable moods. Use I statements to express your feelings and needs, instead of you statements that accuse the other person. For instance, you could say, "In our past interactions, when I heard critical or belittling remarks, I felt really hurt and disrespected. I hope from now on, we can communicate in a more equal and respectful way." Or, "I've realized I need more personal space and time to do things I enjoy, and I hope this need of mine can be understood and supported by you." Note, your expression should be specific and clear. Don't say something vague like, "Don't bully me anymore." Instead, point out specific behaviors and your specific needs. This way, the other person will clearly understand which behaviors are no longer acceptable and avoid evasion or excuses later. After declaring your new rules, you also need to gently but firmly explain the consequences of breaking them. This is not a threat, it's letting the other person know your bottom line. For example, if we can't communicate with respect, I might choose to step away temporarily until we're both calm enough to talk. Or, if you give me the silent treatment again, I won't compromise first like I used to. I'll focus on my own emotions first, and we can talk when you're ready to communicate properly. This conversation will most likely not go smoothly. The other person may fly into a rage, accusing you of changing or not loving them anymore. They may even resort to old tactics, like playing the victim or saying, "I'm only doing this for your own good," to make you compromise. But it doesn't matter. You are not the same person you were 6 days ago. You've seen through their tricks and practiced how to respond. No matter how they react, just remember your core purpose. You are not asking for their approval. You are only informing them. Your world has changed, your boundaries are established, and you will no longer give in without limits. You don't need to argue about who's right or wrong, nor force them to accept it immediately. You just need to make your stance clear, then firmly enforce your new rules. Friends, this 7-day rebirth plan is a profound self-revolution. It will be hard, even painful. The manipulator will definitely use doubling tactics to try to pull you back into the old pattern, and you will feel uneasy and hesitant because you're used to the past way of interacting. But please believe, as long as you take that first step, even if it's just the observation and recording on day 1, you are already on the path to reclaiming your power. You will never go back to that dark, powerless past where you were controlled like a puppet. The end goal of this plan is not to defeat anyone, but to meet the truly strong, free, and complete version of yourself. You don't need to prove your worth by defeating the manipulator. You only need to live the life you want by honoring your own feelings and guarding your boundaries. Our in-depth interpretation of the book Influencer, The Power to Change Anything, ends here. We've explored the complexity of human nature and analyzed the power dynamics in relationships, but ultimately, the core of the book's discussion boils down to one word: power. The power that once defined you, drained you, and controlled you. From today onward, you will take it back with your own hands. The transformation from a puppet to a helmsman never happens overnight. It starts with small choices. Choosing to trust your own feelings instead of others' claims of doing this for your own good. Choosing to guard your boundaries instead of compromising without limits. Choosing to prioritize your own needs instead of always worrying about others' opinions first. Your world is shaped by your choices. May you start from this moment to make the choice that sets you truly free, no longer controlled by others, no longer taking responsibility for others' emotions, and truly living for yourself. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time with our next book.